I am adjusting my travel plans in the Philippines. How about you? Hello and welcome to the Philippines. I am changing my travel plans and in this this interesting world that we are living in, and been making some plans and been changing some plans, and I'm especially interested in all of you and your experience in these challenging times that we're presently living in. If you're in the Philippines or some other country trying to get back home, or if you're in Europe, America, wherever, Asia, and you're trying to get to the Philippines, what type of experiences are you having? I know a number of people have told me that they've been trying to call airlines and they keep getting recordings that Lions are exceptionally busy, please try again later. And the airlines are not equipped for emergencies like this. People cannot check a lot of the information online. You don't know if your flight in a week or two or three is going to be rescheduled or canceled. So people are trying to call the airlines, and the airlines just are not equipped. They don't have the people. And even if they want to start hiring the people, it takes time to hire and train them. They need workstations for them to work out of. And some of those people as well are probably going into self-quarantine, so that can be an issue when half your work staff. I know one of the hospitals here, I think in Dumaguete, like 40-some nurses and hospital personnel went into quarantine, self-quarantine, because they had contact with a person in the hospital who came down with the virus. So that's a big hit when you lose 40-some people out of your staff. How do you replace that? So anyway, patience is important. Went shopping the other day. Went to S&R, and there was quite a crowd there. Didn't expect that. Everybody was stocking up on toilet paper and foods, and but there did not seem to be a shortage. That was the good news. I also went to Ayala Mall the other day, and there was a line of people, and I immediately understood that they were probably taking people's temperature as they went in the door, and that was exactly what was happening. They should have 2 or 3 different security personnel there doing that. A friend of mine also went. He said that the line was so long he finally turned around and left. But many companies, many malls are doing this type of thing. They're taking the temperature, and if they identify somebody, they're I think referring them to some medical staff, I believe. Part of the problem with this deal is that you can probably be carrying this bug for a number of days before you show symptoms. And I had just walked a couple kilometers, about a mile or so, in the heat, and I was wondering if that would affect my temperature. It did not. That was passed through. But anyway, those types of issues are being dealt with as we speak, and things are changing. Government agencies, personnel are meeting, and every day in the news, the quarantine advisories and the lockdowns, different parts of the Philippines are changing and becoming more restrictive, even as we speak. Manila is in a quarantine situation. The most densely populated city in the world, I believe. About 12 million people, and it surges to about 16 million people during the work days as people come in from the various provinces, the metropolitan area. And they have, I think, over 20,000 police and military personnel in the major corridors, checking to find out if you have a good reason to be in the area, to be coming into Manila. Do you have a job? Do you have a doctor appointment? You should have written information giving you authorization to be coming into the area. I think at the present time, all of the major cities and smaller cities, and probably going to spread from here also are pretty much in a quarantine type situation, and travelers have been told to, if you're in the cities, please leave if you're a short-term traveler, and that can be a bit of a problem because they're shutting down a lot of the passenger transports as well. A lot of the all or most of the domestic air travel has been stopped, as well as the passenger ferry traffic. Now, the good part is that cargo will continue to move, supplies will continue to move, so that food can be replenished, food and supplies, pharmacies will be replenished. Um, Even I just read in the USA there are states shutting down the movies, the bars, the restaurants, unless you do a lot of takeout type work where you're delivering food. So it is a changing situation by the day, and I don't want to get too detailed in all the updates. Just assume at this point in time that there is a quarantine in place. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to travel, especially as a foreigner in a different country, unless you have a very good reason, written permission to travel. The economic impact of this around the world is going to be devastating for all the personnel who are being laid off and or reduced hours at the very least. Um, this video was taken up on Medellin, that fantastic island in the northern part of Cebu Island, a couple of years ago, and it's just I was cleaning up my hard drive and come across some of this old video and decided to put it up here while I'm chatting about our travel situations. What is your situation? A friend of mine sent a picture through of pretty much bare shelves, I believe at a Walmart in Kingman, Arizona, I believe. And I've heard that from people up in Minnesota as well. In the USA, what is your situation where you are at the present time? Are you finding shortages and panic buying? My news from several sources each day. Phil Star Global up here, the online newspaper, is one of them. They also have a paper edition of their paper. I like this particular one for a number of reasons. They also have the Freeman, which is focused on the Cebu area primarily, as well as you can go in and you can get into the national or the world news as well. There are many newspapers that offer online editions, but anyway, I'm not going to get into a lot of the details of the restrictions because they're changing, but I think one can assume that pretty much every place is going to be on some type of restricted travel and or quarantine, travel restrictions coming into or out of areas, especially if you are a foreigner, I think, unless you have a very specific and provable reason for for traveling. How strictly they will be implementing the restrictions is another thing. Do they have enough people to do it? And anyway, let's just go down and look at some of the headlines here. Cruise ships, of course, you got all those people on cruise ships who are, you don't have any choice but to be around one another. Another thing they're doing is theaters and such, they're asking people to stay about 1 meter away from each other. And even on buses and jeepneys, I don't think that's possible to enforce that, but they're asking people to, for instance, only about 25% of the people were going to be allowed into theaters, and so you'd have to sit every other seat or every third seat, something like that. And now I think a lot of those types of places are just going to close because of the liability involved. Deaths climbed to 12 in the Philippines and reports 29 new virus cases. It's generally the elderly and those with underlying medical conditions that end up dying from the disease. I recommend that you try to stay healthy, eat healthy. I take regularly, I take about 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, and I take vitamin D3, magnesium. Try to stay healthy. And even the churches are going to online masses. Here, Italy hits 368 new deaths in a day. Let's see, what else do we have? Several malls closed, supermarkets, banks, pharmacies will remain open at this point in time. And which reminds me, I should get to a pharmacy and pick up a few things while I can. There again, those types of things can change by the hour, by the day. Philippines could have 75,000 cases in 5 months. Could have. It's a big. That's a big if. It could be. Hopefully, this is more hype than anything else. We need more thermal scanners, of course. Nobody planned ahead for this type of emergency to have that many thermal scanners available to use. And we're over here to the Freeman, which is Cebu news primarily. Ports closed, classes are suspended, has been extended. City is now under quarantine for 30 days until April 14th, and that can change. Cebu cut off limits to, what was that? Cebu off limits to travelers from Negros Island. Woman suspected with the virus dies in Cebu. I am interested to hear how this has affected you and your travel plans. Certainly is major, almost unprecedented with the change, and some airlines virtually shutting down because the demand for air traffic has decreased so great. Anyway, please leave information in the comments section. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Safe travels to you all, and stay very healthy. And we'll see you next time.